Welcome to Star Wars Battlefront 2, the pinnacle of Star Wars gaming. The latest in graphics technology meets the competitive spirit of an online multiplayer shooter in the vast, sprawling galaxy of... Wait a minute, what? Why didn't somebody say something before I got into the video? Welcome to Star Wars Battlefront 2 and one of the most passionate gaming communities on the internet. If you're new to this game, it can be a little overwhelming with 19 different game modes, more than 20 iconic Star Wars characters, 10 iconic ships, 4 base classes with 5 different weapons, 7 different enforcers, 6 different infiltrators. If you're feeling that sense of overwhelm, don't worry. If you'd like a little bit of a primer on where to start in your Battlefront 2 journey, then you're in the right place. Welcome to the Battlefront Survival Guide. The first thing to decide is if you like single-player story modes or not. Most people do, and one of the greatest disappointments of 2015's Battlefront was a lack of any kind of story. Battlefront 2 features an original story which serves as an effective bridge between the fall of the Empire and the rise of the First Order. It is by no means a mind-blowing experience, but it is a compelling story, is extraordinarily well made, and gives you a feel for all the different kinds of weapons and vehicles you can use in the game. Let's talk briefly about the many different trooper classes available in Battlefront 2. Alright, the first one you want to familiarize yourself with is this guy, the Officer. The Officer starts with this single-shot pistol, and you can progress through the different weapons, and you can see the difference in range, rate of fire, damage, and the description. Everything is based on preference. If you want a detailed guide on how to play the Officer, go check out my Officer's Guide up there. There'll be a card right there. Each of the 4 subsequent weapons past the default has 3 attachments, and you can of course familiarize yourself with those. Each one is unlocked via milestones achieved with that particular weapon. To unlock the weapons, you achieve milestones. You're getting kills with the previous weapon. So you get to a certain point, certain number of officer kills, you unlock this. And each one goes through. And the best way to look and check that out is over in the career tab under milestones, troopers. Over here, each one. So each one of these unlocks an attachment for that weapon. But right here, you can see each of these guns is unlocked with so many kills with that class. For instance, this CR2 is unlocked with 200 enemies killed as an assault class. This one's 200 heavy kills. You can see each one 50, 200, 400 officer kills. So that's what you do there. The Officer is best for achieving the most battle points quickly. And I'll just real briefly tell you the best 3 cards for that are Officer's Presence, which helps your allies regenerate faster. Let's see, can't really see these. Improved Battle Command, which essentially just buffs the health of your allies. It's your default special ability, but also earns you points that way. And then, of course, there's a card for faster gain of battle points, which help you unlock heroes and reinforcements. So the Officer is, a lot of times Battlefront 2 is known as Officer Front because there's so many people playing officers. It's simply still the best way to get a hero if you want to play as a hero, or to get reinforcements or vehicles. The best way to get battle points quickly is with the Officer. And other than that, the best one after him is Heavy, which has heavy repeating blasters typically. And of course, each one has different stats, different attachments, which I showed you earlier. And of course, I have a Heavy class guide available as well, with a detailed look at how to play the Heavy class. He does the most damage, so tends to earn you the most points after the Officer, which of course has those team buff abilities, which gain points. Next is Assault. Usually, it's your typical balanced infantry role. Again, has these repeating blasters here, different fire rates, different strength, and you can check that out. And I encourage you to try each one. They come with an improved thermal detonator. The Vanguard, which is like a shotgun, gives you extra speed for a limited time, and the Scan Dart, which reveals enemies' positions. So, very useful class. Also, with this Toughen Up card, you can instantly regenerate your health. So, usually pretty good at getting kills, but you do have to get kills to earn battle points quickly if you want to keep up with the officers in your group. Lastly is a specialist, who of course is the sniper. 4 different sniper rifles after this one. The only weapon that is a one-shot headshot kill against your base classes is this guy right here, the NT-242. Simply the best sniper rifle in the game. Once you unlock this guy and unlock these attachments, if you are a good sniper, you will be deadly on the battlefront for sure. He's also it's versatile like the assault class, because this one right here is a 3-shot burst assault rifle. So shorter range, not really a good sniper rifle, so you can kind of mix it up and play like an assault class with the different abilities. And of course, I have a guide for the specialist as well. So those are your 4 base classes. Your enforcers, each one is different. I do have an enforcer guide as well to go through all of these. A Vissian Gunner has a heavy cannon, heavy rotary blaster, should say. Of course, B2 Super Battle Droid. The Death Trooper has a good medium range repeating blaster there. These guys are kind of your all-around enforcers. Let's see. Flame Trooper, of course, for the First Order. These guys are the bane for enemy heroes. These guys, when a hero sees a Flame Trooper, usually they run the other way. The Wookiee Warrior, it's a lot of people love them. Again, you can check out my Enforcer guide for the Wookiee Warrior. I'm not as big a fan of their bowcaster. I think up close headshot, these guys can waste you, but they're not too good at range. It's kind of like a pea shooter. Droideka, of course, these guys can roll into an area fast, set up, unload a lot of fire, then roll away before you die. These can be very effective if you know how to use them right. And then, of course, the Clone Commando with a repulsor blast, 3-shot grenade launcher. So those are your enforcers. Here we have your aerial, which is just simply a jetpack trooper. Now, it used to be they were all kind of the same. They all just had your jetpack boost, which is a vertical thing, and a jetpack dash, which is a horizontal dash. Your dodge button is your friend. You can kind of zip to the left, zip to the right to get away from trouble. I'm going to release an aerial guide soon. It'll be pretty short. The Jet Trooper, same thing. Rocket Trooper for the Imperial, same thing. Rocket Jumper for the Resistance and the Rebellion, same thing. Each one has a rocket launcher. Now, the difference here is this guy, the First Order Jet Trooper. This guy used to be just like every other Jump Trooper until the Rise of Skywalker, when they totally revamped the First Order aerial unit to be like the guys in the Rise of Skywalker. They have, of course, the regular jetpack, which they can actually hover. The other aerials cannot. Jet Tackle, which is a jet boost to take out a unit. It's like a charge thing, like a shoulder charge, like Han Solo has. And the Tri-Barrel Launcher instead of a missile launcher, which is like a little grenade launcher. These guys are pretty cool, pretty fun to play. They really changed the game for the aerial class and made them very, very useful. Not that they were not useful before, but just these guys are just a cut above, a little bit better, but only available for the First Order. Infiltrator units. Now, these guys, vastly different units here. The ARC Trooper, of course, which has got the dual-wielding blasters. When it first came out, they had the double triggers, like if you're playing on a controller, where it would one pistol at a time. They changed it to a single fire button, and it automatically fires both pistols. Changed the way they worked a little bit. KFX Spy has got a few different tools, a little aerial strike thing that comes in handy. I think they were planning on putting Jyn Erso in the game, And I think the KFX Spy looks a lot like a player model for Jyn Erso might look, with a few adjustments. Mostly because of this truncheon attack here. And I think they just never were able to do it. This is my favorite of the infiltrators, the Sith Trooper. Each one kind of has some tactics that reveal where enemies are. And I haven't done an infiltrator guide yet, but there are infiltrator guides out there. I do plan on doing one. And here's the ISB agent for the Empire. Very useful. Also has the dual wielding pistols. Her melee is amazing. It's like kung fu fighting out there. 3 hits and you get person is dead. They're very, very agile. Almost as good as the Commando droid for the Separatists. Here's your Ewok Hunter, your little Ewok guy. We'll talk about Ewok Hunt in a little bit. These guys, after much player demand, these guys were added to the reinforcements. Let's see, Commando droid. There's your Commando droid with the Vibra Sword. These guys could straight up kill you up close. Thermal vision comes in handy with a smoke screen. Add the thermal vision. You can waste a room full of guys pretty quickly. And that's about that for the classes. There are more than 20 hero and villain characters which appear in this game. If you want to learn more, there are many different hero guides already available on YouTube, and I plan on doing a guide for each one in the future. I'm going to avoid the subject of hero characters in the interest of time for this video. One of the things I would suggest is to go into Arcade and play through the battle scenarios. Each one involves getting a certain number of kills in the allotted time, but allows you to get a feel for the many different heroes, villains, base classes, and reinforcements used in the game. I want to give a brief word about milestones. If you are a completionist, it may be fun to tick off these milestones as you go. Most of the milestones earn credits or crystals, which in the past were used for skins, emotes, and poses. Since the release of the Celebration Edition, and especially the free edition from the Epic Game Store, new players who have just come in most likely have everything unlocked for free already. So the only thing gained via milestones is a sense of pride and accomplishment. Actually, you still have to unlock your weapons and weapon mods via the milestones, which are achieved simply by getting kills with your various classes and weapons. Let's turn our attention now to discussing the different game modes in Battlefront 2. I'm going to focus on ground combat modes, as Starfighter Assault received very little support and is generally a source of frustration all around. Since the release of Star Wars Squadrons, anyone who likes flight combat usually picks that up. However, if you like the idea of wasting noobs in your Darth Vader, TIE Fighter, or Millennium Falcon, knock yourself out, but your mileage may vary. In the beginning, the flagship mode for Battlefront 2 was Galactic Assault. As the game was designed by DICE, the developers of the Battlefield series, Galactic Assault closely resembles Battlefield's Rush game mode, where the attacking team steps through 3 different phases of objectives. On most maps in Battlefront 2, the attacking team is escorting either 1 or 2 tanks or walkers through the first phase, while the defending team is required to pick up ion weapons to disable the tank so that they can then damage it as much as they can before it is active again. Then Phase 2 involves destroying or deactivating an objective. Then the final objective is usually simply securing the final location. This mode is available across all 3 eras, and any hero may be used regardless of the era. Be aware, though, that each team is limited on the number of heroes that can be used at one time, so it is possible to spend a lot of time waiting to use one. Toward the end of Battlefront 2's development cycle, after the community begged and pleaded for it, DICE brought back to the Battlefront series the classic Conquest game mode from the original Pandemic titles under the name Capital Supremacy, soon shortened simply to Supremacy. In this mode, the first phase involves capturing command posts spread about the map. Whoever holds the majority of command posts wins this phase. On the original trilogy maps, this is the only phase of the game. On prequel and sequel trilogy maps, the second phase involves boarding the enemy capital ships and progressing through a series of objectives to finally destroying the reactor core to win the game. Failure to destroy the enemy ship reverts the game back to the ground maps, and the enemy team is given an automatic head start. This can result in some epic back and forths, making a single round of Supremacy take anywhere from 20 minutes to as much as 2 hours at one point. DICE has since made adjustments to the objectives, and it no longer can last as long as it once did. Heroes in this mode are restricted to the era in which you are playing. Heroes vs. Villains is either a major source of frustration or a cavalcade of fun for hours. It used to be that one player on each side was the target and everyone had to try and take them out. That mechanic has since been changed to a total team deathmatch, but one frustration remains. Heroes vs. Villains is essentially a pack hunting game. Usually, one team will get the upper hand at the outset and have 3 or 4 survivors after the initial engagement. Then, the other team will spawn back individually in the order which they died, all in different locations. This means that the first team can simply roam the map together and pick off individual opponents. If you do not have a team that can stick together, you will most likely lose. Also, despite changes to the lightsaber stamina system, it is impossible to escape 3 or 4 players swinging their swords with abandon. Either this, or you may encounter Darth Maul, who can choke and throw you, Darth Vader, who can choke and hold you, Kylo Ren, who can freeze and pull you, and you may encounter all 4 abilities at the same time. Or maybe Luke Skywalker, who can push or repulse you, Anakin, who can pull you, Obi-Wan, who can push you, and Yoda, who can push you, and you get the idea. Hero Showdown is perhaps a better game mode for hero combat, as it is a 2v2 dueling mode. Each team picks a pair of heroes and fights. The winning team locks out the 2 they just chose and has to choose 2 new heroes. The losing team can reuse the heroes they just played. This mode requires better teamwork and more tactical awareness than Heroes vs. Villains.
Jedi down!
For smaller infantry maps, you have Blast, which is a simple team deathmatch. Players can spawn anywhere, so keep your head on a swivel. Strike and Extraction feature either a single objective phase or escorting a shipment from one part of the map to another. This is a great mode to get used to playing multiplayer and using the different infantry classes. Ewok Hunt started out as a limited time mode, which by community request became a regular feature. The game puts you in either as a Stormtrooper or an Ewok. If you are a Stormtrooper, you are playing in pitch black night with nothing but a blaster and a flashlight. As an Ewok, you can see in the dark and you have the opportunity to pick off Stormtroopers one by one. Stormtroopers are advised to stick together because there is strength in numbers and can even group together in the caves where there is limited torchlight. At some point, the rescue ship arrives and you have to run for the ship while fending off Ewoks. If you die as a Stormtrooper, you respawn as an Ewok. It's pretty fun for a while, but can become rather repetitive. The last online mode is co-op, which allows you to team up with 3 other players to take on AI opponents and sequential command post objectives. You can play in either era, on either side, and heroes are restricted to the era in which you play. This is a great mode to learn all the classes in Heroes, and you take on massive amounts of AI enemies. The best thing is you can also level up your classes and heroes as you play. For you offline single-player types, there are a lot more options than there used to be. It used to be you only had arcade with battle scenarios or custom arcade where you could set the conditions of your experience and whether you had AI teammates or not. However, with the advent of co-op came instant action, taking its name from the option in the original Battlefront games. Here you can play Supremacy, which features command post gameplay against AI opponents just like the originals, or you can play Missions, Attack or Defend, which are basically the same sequential objectives as featured in co-op, only this time you get to pick your side. There is no leveling up as there is in co-op, but you can limit the number of AI opponents and practice to your heart's content. Plus, every star card is unlocked and fully upgraded. Battlefront 2 is in a unique position right now. When DICE moved all resources and attention to developing Battlefield 6, they closed support on Battlefront 2. However, with last year's release of the Celebration Edition for reduced cost, and now with the free promotion on the Epic Games Store, the player count for this game has continued to grow, with EA even having to upgrade server capacity. What game has ever shut down support and seen the player count increase? To me, this is unprecedented. While some people see Electronic Arts as having made a colossal mistake, all is not lost. They may not bring back support for Battlefront 2, but if nothing else, this shows that there is still an incredible demand for an online multiplayer shooter in the Star Wars universe. In fact, 2015's Star Wars Battlefront still has people playing it. In a later video, I will discuss the potential of the Battlefront series being continued and who may take it over and what that might look like. But with the newly rebranded Lucasfilm Games taking the lead, and with other developers jumping into the Star Wars brand, I don't think that it will be too long before we see another installment of the Battlefront series. When we do, I'll be here to cover all the details, and as further Star Wars games are developed. Follow me on Twitter at BattlefrontSG or at IndianaJim, and if you like the content here, please visit my virtual tip jar at the link down below in the description to support my further work on this channel. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you at the rendezvous.
Anger and hate seize the day as Kylo Ren breaks the match.